Thank you everyone for having me. My name is Michael. I like to go over what I do for a living. I'm a peer support specialist for an organization that I work for. You guys ever heard of a peer support at all? Okay. I get asked all the time from family and friends, like, what is a peer support? You know, like, what do you do? You're just like a hired friend or whatever. So, a peer support, get my handwriting. A peer support specialist is someone with lived experience that can use that experience to help others overcome some of their struggles. And that could be anything they're dealing with. So the best analogy I like to give to people, so for specifically, I work with veterans, right? And give a little analogy, a little story. You got a veteran who just got out of the military, and he's trying to get through life. He's walking down this path, right? In the woods, he's trying to figure out life. What he wants to do for work, what he wants to do for a living, what's going on with his family, if he wants to get married, get divorced, there's all kinds of things as in life, life comes at you fast. So say there's this hole, right, in the middle of the woods. You guys might have heard this analogy in other stories, but I like using it for peer support specifically. Now this veteran is walking down a path, right? He's trying to figure out life. And as he's walking, he falls into this hole right here. Now use your imagination. This hole can be, this hole can be PTSD, substance abuse issues, mental health, which kind of falls with PTSD, marital problems, financial problems, so on and so forth. So this hole can be an analogy for any one of those, right? This veteran falls into that hole. He's stuck, He's down there for so long, it gets dark, he kind of gives up. They succumb to their demons, right? And then, let's say you got his friends that walk by. They come through and say, hey man, you all right? Just suck it up, you got it. Society tells, especially as men, you gotta suck it up, you gotta deal with it. Family and friends, hey, we love you, we want you to do better, you don't meet their expectations, they give up on you, walk away. Therapist comes by, hey, how are you feeling about this? Yeah, it's great, and keep in mind, I'm not knocking these professions. There's a reason why I'm throwing these examples in there. It's gonna come into play when I explain peer support, because peer support specialists is a growing field in the mental health. They're starting to employ them in many aspects, including the justice involvement or in the prisons and jails. But therapists can come by and say, hey, how are you feeling about this? You can try to talk to him, but he's down in his hole. He doesn't really care. He's not listening to what that therapist is saying. Psychiatrists can come through, hey, just take some of these pills. Oh, it's great, but they don't want to hear that. They don't care. They don't want pills shoved in their mouth. They don't know how that's going to help them. It will help them. Medication. I'm not knocking medication. I'm not knocking therapy. Somebody from the respective church can come by and say, hey, we're going to pray for you. That's great. I believe in prayer, but sometimes when you're in that hole, you don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear. It's just some of the stuff people give up on and they don't care about no more. So you try everything. You're down there and you get to a point where you don't listen to anything, nothing matters. You just kind of accept your fate. Along comes a peer support specialist, right? Comes over and says, hey man, what's going on down there? Whether they choose to provide the information or not, it's on them, but if they do, what peer support's like, what we like to do is hop down in that hole with them. And that guy look at us like, you crazy? Like, what are you doing down here? And, we look him in the eyes and say, hey, brother or sister, we've been here. We dealt with one of these many things that we're dealing with. We figured out how to get out of it. Now we want to help you. And like I said, these other professions that came through, I'm not taking anything away from them, but the things that can provide help, this person may not know how to access that or how to accept it. But when you get a peer support, will hop down into that hole with them and said, this is what I did. I ignored all that too, but maybe I went to church, I listened to somebody, maybe I didn't pray on it. It worked for me. I'm not saying it's gonna work for everyone, but this is how it worked for me. You know, yeah, I eventually took the medication. It helped me. I went to see therapy. I went to marriage counseling. You know, I made amends with families. Whatever the case may be. That shared experience, you get to their level and say, it is possible, and you're not living proof. And then you're in a hole with them, you're helping them finding their footing on getting out of that hole. So when you do eventually get out of that hole, whatever they're dealing with, now I can lead them to whatever help they may need. So all those professionals that came by, we together can go to that individual, to that organization, whatever. You know, if the person doesn't know how to apply for a Social Security card, hey, I got you, it's fine, you know? We weren't given all the tools when we got out of the military. And I know I use the military analogy because that's what I do specifically, but peer support, there's peer supports across the board for youth, teens, elderly, people come out of prison, because guys come out of prison, same thing. They're walking down this path and going to this hole because the system lets them out. They don't give them the resources. They just said, we'll figure it out. But if you got someone who jumps in that hole, hey, I got out of prison about 6 years ago. You know, I'm living a good life now. I'm doing better mentally. I got a good paying job. You can show them how you did. And that can be more effective at that time for the individual to get up out of that hole and find their own power. And that's one thing, like, as peer support, what I believe in is we're not doing anything for this person. We're just trying to empower them by sharing our own lived experience. And a lot of times it's very therapeutic even for that peer support, because if we're helping this person, we're also learning from it as well. And it can be fulfilling, rewarding. A lot of times, even when we jump in the hole, they can still turn the help down, you know? But personally, I've seen it be very effective when I'm out there with homeless veterans. I visit veterans in prison and just saying, hey, like, we've been there, we've done that. Even if it's not directly, like, I haven't been to prison for hardcore drugs, you know, but I dealt with situations where, like, I felt like I was stuck. And just being able to relate to that person and just be real and transparent. You know, I'm not throwing any huge jargons at them. I'm not promising them anything. I'm just being real. Hey, this worked for me. It could work for you, but try it out. If it doesn't work, move on to something else. So I kind of give them that hope, if that makes sense. So, like I said, hope can be used for anything. Peer supports, they're all across the board. They got them in, like, women's shelters. They got them specifically just for substance abuse. And then, yeah, so hopefully this visualization helped with the idea of what we do as peer support specialists. If you ever see that, you maybe think of this and realize, like, that's what we do, that's how we help. So I do appreciate your time and hearing me out, peer support specialist.
Tonight, I get to evaluate Toastmaster Mike. First of all, Mike, let me say this. I think you're gonna be just great here. You have a real good voice. You're very comfortable standing in front of the audience. The only thing I would say to you is this. One, you got stuck here. And then eventually you moved over there. I would say we all probably, because of this new room, have to learn to use our room and make it our own. Because right now we are not making it our own. The other thing I would say is this. I think this whiteboard is going to become a problem because we're using it as a prop, and my own personal opinion is you don't turn your back to your audience, period. You just don't do it. You always face them, you always keep talking to them about whatever you need to say. If you're going to use the whiteboard and you got something up there you want to put on display that you want to talk about, put it on there beforehand. One of the challenges I would say that you would need to get or need to do is whatever you're going to talk about, put it in media. If you want to put it in media, we can get it up there on the board. And if you don't want to put it in media, either do it without the whiteboard or put it on the whiteboard. But we have to, all of us, have to avoid this whiteboard because the moment we turn our backs, I think we're making a big mistake. I think the other thing you need to bring to it is this. Just a little more energy. And I'm not the guy to talk about energy because I'm stiff as a board. Promise you. I've been told, Dr. Taylor, Quincy. Now, when you ever get to see Quincy speak, you'll know exactly what I mean. But just bring a little more energy. But I think you're going to be pretty awesome. I already talked about your back against the board. Other than that, that's all I have. But you're welcome to the club, and you're going to be great.